discovering the key that unlocks success in every area of life. Now, here's a question. What does Psalm 23 and Alex Hormozi have in common to reveal the secret of success? Well, hello, my name is Brad. If you're new to this channel, I'm a medical doctor by day and a researcher of personal development and success principles by night. In fact, I have written a book called Undeniable. And if you are interested in success principles, check it out on Amazon. It's basically how you can destroy average and get rid of any areas of mediocrity in your life. I've researched tons of entrepreneurs, athletes, and successful people all over the planet. And it's basically a book that gives you 6 values and 26 codes to live by to help you make some breakthroughs. So check it out if you're interested in that. I'll leave a link in the comments below. All right, so if you're like me, there's many things you want to try in life, and it could be something like health, where you want to get fit and you jump from program to program. It could be things in entrepreneurship, where you're looking at Amazon FBA or drop shipping or real estate, and you start one, but then you get to a point and you quit. You find out it's not for you, so you jump to the next, and then you quit that one, and it's this constant cycling of starting and stopping, but never making a breakthrough. I think Seth Godin in his book, The Dip, calls it something like serial quitting. It's like jumping from line to line in the grocery store, but never checking out because you're always waiting to be in the shortest line. So how do we overcome this constant cycle of quitting and once and for all make that breakthrough to success? I want to go over a very cool chart that sheds light on this concept, and then a couple of key principles on how we can make that breakthrough. Now, I'm going to draw the chart up here, and it was actually developed by 2 psychologists. I think their names were, let me look, it was Don Kelly and Daryl Connor, and it's called the emotional cycle of change, and it's recently been made famous by Alex Hormozi. And then I was talking to my brother about it, and he was saying, hey, you know, that kind of parallels Psalm 23, particularly verses 4, 5, and 6. And I'll show you how all of this ties together and how we can then break through it. So let's take a look at this. As I open up the chart here, what I'm going to do is just kind of draw it for you here. It's got 5 phases, and you start out here, and then it kind of comes down, then it hits this dip, you come back, and then up there is where you want to be. This is where you start, and this is what we have to overcome. So on this first stage, it's what's called uninformed optimism, and I'm just going to put the abbreviations here. I'll leave the actual stages down below in the link or in the comments. And then this is where you get very, very excited, and you start out and you learn about a new side hustle or a new fitness program or a new stock you want to invest in. And so you get going, and everything is all about benefits, but you haven't yet experienced the cost that are involved. So as you move forward, you're going to hit phase 2. And this is where things start getting a little shady. And this is what's called informed pessimism. Things were very positive here, it's starting to look negative. You start saying, wow, this is a little harder than I thought it was going to be. This is now where the benefits aren't so much in the limelight, but now you're starting to weigh the cost. And the thought of quitting may be entering your mind. So now you move forward, you're continuing to persevere, but you reach phase 3. And phase 3 is the key phase, and it is called the VOD, or the Valley of Despair. And as we'll look at Psalm 23, this is also Psalm 23, it's going to be verse 4. And it's called, in verse 4, they talk about the valley of the shadow of death. So very cool parallel. Now this key right here is what I call the stage of quit or conquer. This is the Navy SEAL Hell Week. This is the residency and medical training. This is the backstretch of the 400-meter dash if you're into track and field. This is where the moment of pain, the moment of information overload, the actual costs now outweigh the benefit, and you're wondering if it's worth it, and most people quit. And the reason why this is important right here, if you quit, you're going to pick another area of life, and you're going to start it all excited, and then you're going to start getting a little bit of informed pessimism, and then you're going to come down to the valley of despair, and you're going to quit. Say you start Amazon FBA, you're going to go here and quit. So you decide to start drop shipping. You're going to go back through these phases. You're going to go through all these phases and everything you do until finally you decide to persevere and stick with something. and then break through. We're going to talk about 3 ways to break through phase 3 so that we can move up to absolute success and fulfillment. And then that's where we come to phase 4, and it's called informed optimism. So things are looking better. You're getting a little bit more positive again. You made it through this breakthrough phase by the 30 things I'm going to talk to you about in a second. This is where you're starting to see a little bit of the fruits of your labor. You're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Benefits outweigh the cost. So you're very motivated here to continue to move forward to phase 5, which is success or achievement, or even better yet, fulfillment, right? Because you can have achievement without fulfillment. The goal is to actually be fulfilled in what you do. All right, now to summarize and go back just to see very quickly how cool this is and how it parallels with Psalm 23, let's look at verse 4 and then verses 5 and 6. So in verse 4 it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, also called the valley of despair here, it says, I will fear no evil, for you are with me, talking about the God of the Bible. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So this right here is where you can find yourself wanting to quit or conquer. But if you can get up to phase 4 on the chart and phase 5 on the chart, it parallels to the last 2 verses of Psalm 23. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. This is the victory that we can have if we conquer this phase. And it goes on to say, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. All right, so like I said, how do we bust through the valley of despair? How do we go from Psalm 4 in the valley of the shadow of death to the end of the chart at steps 5 and 6, the informed optimism and the fulfillment success phase? Cup overflowing, head anointed with oil, the goodness and the mercy of God. So let's talk about 3 ways that we can do this. So 1, 2, and 3. So the first thing that we need to have is belief, an undeniable belief. So what belief is, if you followed the great mind of Bob Proctor, it's basically a paradigm shift. And this is a very key factor because the subconscious mind plays a role in your day-to-day life on your pursuit through the success curve. Now, one easy way to increase your beliefs whenever it is you're trying to accomplish a certain goal is to look at a peer or somebody very close to your level and see if they made a breakthrough and achieved what it is you want to. Now, a great example of this would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was very inspired by a man named Reg Park. Reg Park was a bodybuilder and became Mr. Universe, who then became an actor and played a very cool role in Hercules. Well, this inspired Schwarzenegger so much. He even said, when he saw Reg Park's life, he said, now I have a blueprint for success. So what did Arnold do? He went on, made breakthroughs, became Mr. Olympia in bodybuilding. I think he landed a role as not Hercules, but Conan in acting, and the rest is history. So find somebody. All you have to do is ask yourself, has there been somebody who's achieved success in your field and broken through that valley of despair? If they've done it, you can too. So find mentors, find examples, and that will increase your belief. All right, so number 2 is going to be a certain character trait. So you've got the belief, you've got the mindset. Now you need to have a character trait. And there's many we could talk about: discipline, focus, determination, drive, you name it. But there's one in particular that's key for the valley of despair that not a lot of people talk about when it comes to success. And this is what I want to call patience versus impatience. All right, this may not sound like a big deal, but it's actually huge, and it is a character trait that all successful people understand. All right, so for this one, I'm going to explain some really cool concepts, and we're going to break it down even farther. First, let's define patience. What is it? Second, let's talk about how to use it. And then 3, what does it mean when we say the law of gestation? All right, so first, to define it, I like what Hormozi says. Hormozi says it's just, patience is just basically doing something, and I'm just going to shorten this, in the meantime. all you're doing when you're being patient is you're waiting on the return, which is what I'm going to get into in steps 2 and 3 here. So if you make an investment, while your money is growing, you're just going to be doing something else in the meantime. You're going to be working out, you're going to be working on your other sources of income, and that's really all it means. So you're not trying to rush the process. You make the investment, you go do something in the meantime. That makes it less painful. So number 2, how do we do that? How do we think about that? Well, let's think about 2 things. You're going to think about when to be patient versus impatient. And then the second section here is to understand that patience is a continuum. It's not a binary. So when you think of patience, it's not whether you're patient or not, or whether you're patient or impatient. It's how patient are you? This goes back to doing something in the meantime. So not only is it a continuum, but it's also a when and where. So when you think about patience, you want to think about output. And when you think about impatience, you want to think about input. This could also be thought of as action, or an output could be thought of as results. So whenever you decide to start something, you want to have some research. You don't want to just jump into anything recklessly. But when it comes to input, so say you're starting a new workout program, just start it. Find something on bodybuilding.com or your favorite fitness buff, do their program, and just get started. If you want to get started in investing, just open a brokerage account, throw some money into the S&P 500. You don't have to become an expert before you get started. Same thing if you want to do a side hustle. Research real estate, research Amazon FBA, drop shipping. Whatever it is, start your YouTube channel, but just get started. The input action phase is where you want to be very, very, very impatient. Now, once you start, the output is where the patience sets in, doing something in the meantime. And this is where we're going to talk about the law of gestation. Gestation, just like in childbirth, the gestation period, the 9-month period that a child develops in the mother's womb. You know from common sense, this is not something you rush, correct? So you allow the laws of nature to take place. 9 months of gestation, just like a business, just like six-pack abs, just like the return on investments. There's a gestation period between starting and results that you have to just naturally be patient about. Let's give another example. Say you are going to cook your Christmas turkey. Laws of nature say you have to set it at a certain temperature in order to get the juiciest, best tasting turkey on the planet. You're not going to turn this thing up to 2,000 degrees just because you're impatient and you have to hurry up and get the result. If you do that, guess what happens? It turns into Clark Griswold's Christmas vacation turkey.
This turkey tastes half as good as it looks. I think we're all in for a very big treat.
All right, so now you've shifted your paradigm. You believe you can actually do it. You have the character trait. You know when to be impatient, when to be patient. You understand the laws of nature, the laws of gestation. Number 3 is skill acquisition. You actually have to be able to do a certain skill or certain skills. Here's why I love this phase. And let me read a quote from, if you follow personal development, you're going to know who Jim Rohn is. Don't wish it was easier, Valley of Despair. Wish you were better. He goes on, don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. Skill acquisition. That could be a whole video by itself, and it's one of my favorite topics, but let's break this down. When you start a new subject or a new company or a new side hustle or learning a foreign language, everything seems overwhelming and you are flooded with information, or the barriers just seem too hard to overcome in that valley of despair and you just want to quit. It just means you need to level up your skills, which is great, because you will become a new person, a new champion if you do this, and that is the purpose of life. I think one of the great quotes is, and Hormozi uses it, I think it's Franklin Roosevelt. It says, a smooth sea never creates a skilled sailor. And remember, even if you do quit here because you don't have the skills, if you go back and start something else, remember what we talked about? You're just going to go through the first 3 phases again and you're going to continue to quit. This is the time to build that skill and break through 4 and 5 of the success chart. So now that you have the belief, you have the character traits, and you have the skill acquisition, there's one more thing I want you to know, and it's that you are not, this is just going to be a signal, you are not alone. A lot of people think that they're the only person going through the valley of despair, that everybody else has it so easy, and all the successful people, their chart, instead of looking like this, they think that their chart just looks like this. It's just nothing but a constant acceleration to the top, and that's not true. You study any successful person, they will all give you a story of how they made that breakthrough. So don't let this be a time of victimhood or feeling sorry for yourself. Let this phase right here be a trigger that you are actually on the way to your successful fulfillment. And now for a final piece of homework for the day. If you got value from the video, definitely smash the like button, subscribe, comment. You can do one of three or all. And I'm also going to leave a link in the description for my book, Undeniable. Until next time, win the moment, win the day.